Project Proteus will allow you to view and edit the stats of your favorite weapons in-game. And to get started, you can either use the Proteus wheel spell, which will pull up this convenient menu and you can click weapon, or you can directly cast the Proteus weapon spell, which will bring up this menu. So one of the things you can do with Proteus is view a summary of the weapon's stats, so you can select the equipped weapon in the left hand or the right hand. If we start with the weapon on the left, you can see it's an elven sword, and it tells you a bunch of stats like damage, the speed of the weapon, how far it can reach, what the weight is, etc. And you can do the same thing with the weapon in the right hand. And every one of these stats is modifiable. So if you go back and you go to weapon edits, let's say we want to edit the stats of the sword, it brings up this menu. So if you go to base damage, we can increase it by 10% and the damage shows up as a notification in the top left. We can increase it by 100%. You can see it's now 22. And you can even enter a custom damage amount. So let's say actually you want this sword to do 100 damage base before edits from perks or items you're wearing. If you hit enter, now the base damage is 100. And that kind of functionality applies across all of these different functions and attributes. So for instance, stagger, we can make the sword have 0 stagger like a dagger would, or we can make it have 1.25 like what a warhammer would have, or enter once again custom value. So directly modifiable however you want. And if we go back, you can also view a stat summary from this screen, and you can also permanently save stats. So this is a bit complicated, but every edit you make using this menu is temporary. So it'll last until you close out of the Skyrim game. But if you want it to last forever, if you want to save the game, close the game, tomorrow you would load up the game and want those edits to still apply to your weapons, then you need to permanently save them into the Proteus system. And there's 2 ways of doing this. One, you can save it only for this player character. So the edits to the weapon are saved under your character's name. So if you change the name of your character, you're no longer going to have those edited stats load in. But it is only applicable for that one character and specific to that one playthrough. You can also make it applicable for all player characters. So this character I'm playing now, I could create a new character, I could use an old character, and the edits to that weapon would apply across every single character that you have and that you use to play Skyrim. So I know it's a bit complicated, there's more details in the guide on the Skyrim Nexus. So the saves ultimately can be temporary, permanent to one character, or permanent across all your characters. And if you go back, you can also duplicate a weapon. So if I click the left hand, you can see it added another elven sword to my inventory. Right hand, glass war axe added. So really easy to create copies of equipped weapons. And lastly, you can also enchant weapons. So this will only work on weapons that are unenchanted. If a weapon's already enchanted, it's unfortunately not going to work. So if you do the sword, you can see here are all of the base enchantments found in the vanilla Skyrim game. So damage, fire, absorptions, fear, paralysis. You can apply any of these enchantments directly to the weapon. So if you choose a basic one like damage, fire, you can see there's different ranks. We can say 25 damage, 30 damage of fire, or once again, we can enter a custom value. So I can say I want fire damage to be 80, and now it has a fire enchantment that will do 80 damage of fire. And also, just to show off once again, so right hand, we can say paralysis, and how many seconds do we want that to last? Let's say we want our axe to have a chance to do 5 seconds of paralysis, or you can even enter a custom duration for paralysis, and it'll do that. And if you don't want that enchantment anymore, if you want to remove it, there is a remove function, so no enchantment. This won't work for enchantments added any other way than enchantments added by Proteus. So if the enchantment was added by Proteus to a weapon, then the no enchantment function will work. If you have an enchantment found from some other mod that's already applied to a weapon, it's unfortunately not going to work. But if you apply an enchantment from Proteus directly to a weapon, you can use the no enchantment to remove it. So you can see on the right that effect faded away.